Welcome, dear listeners, to History with Herodotus, where we delve into the depths of time to uncover the secrets of our collective past. Today we embark on a journey to the distant shores of the Pacific, to explore one of the most pivotal conflicts of the 20th century, the Battle of Guadalcanal. This epic struggle, fought between August 1942 and February 1943, would prove to be a turning point in the war against Japan, as the Allies sought to wrest control of the strategic island from the Imperial Japanese Army. As we set our gaze upon this tropical landscape, let us first consider the earliest history of Guadalcanal, an island nestled in the Solomon Islands archipelago. The island's indigenous people, the Melanesians, had inhabited Guadalcanal for thousands of years, living in small villages and subsisting on a diet of fish, shellfish, and tropical fruits. The first European to lay eyes on Guadalcanal was the Spanish explorer Álvaro de Mendaña y Nera, who sighted the island in 1568 during his voyage to the Pacific. In the centuries that followed, Guadalcanal became a hub for colonial powers, with various European nations vying for control of the island. The British, in particular, played a significant role in shaping the island's destiny, establishing a protectorate over the Solomon Islands in 1893. This period saw the introduction of Christianity, Western education, and modern infrastructure, which would have a lasting impact on the island's development. The British also established a series of plantations on Guadalcanal, which became a major producer of copra, a key ingredient in the production of soap and other cosmetics. As we explore the earliest history of Guadalcanal, it becomes clear that the island's strategic location made it an attractive prize for colonial powers. The island's natural harbors, fertile soil, and abundant resources created a perfect storm of interest, drawing in European powers eager to expand their empires. The British, French, Germans, and Americans all had a stake in the region, each seeking to assert their dominance over this crucial outpost in the Pacific. One notable figure who played a significant role in Guadalcanal's early history was the British colonial administrator Sir Hubert Murray, as the Lieutenant Governor of the Solomon Islands from 1914 to 1932. Murray oversaw the development of the island's infrastructure, including the construction of roads, bridges, and schools. He also encouraged the growth of the copra industry, which became a mainstay of the island's economy. As the 19th century drew to a close, Guadalcanal found itself at the center of a global struggle for power and influence. The island's fate was inextricably linked to the broader currents of world history, as the great powers of Europe and North America jockeyed for position in the Pacific. It was against this backdrop that the stage was set for the dramatic events that would unfold on Guadalcanal during World War II. The Japanese, who had been expanding their empire in East Asia since the early 20th century, began to take an interest in Guadalcanal in the 1930s. They saw the island as a strategic location for a military base, which could serve as a launching point for further expansion into the Pacific. In 1942, Japanese forces occupied Guadalcanal, and it was here that they would eventually clash with American forces in one of the most pivotal battles of World War II. As we conclude our exploration of the earliest history of Guadalcanal, we find ourselves poised on the cusp of a maelstrom as the great powers of the world converge upon this remote island. The seeds of conflict had been sown, and the island's fate would soon be decided in a struggle that would shake the very foundations of the Pacific. Join me next, dear listeners, as we delve into the heart of the Battle of Guadalcanal, where the forces of the United States and Japan would engage in a brutal and bloody conflict that would determine the course of the war in the Pacific. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, as we continue our journey through the pivotal moments of the Battle of Guadalcanal. The landing of American troops on August 7, 1942, marked the beginning of a brutal and bloody campaign that would last for 6 months. The U.S. Marine Corps, led by Major General Alexander Vandegrift, faced fierce resistance from the Japanese forces, who were determined to hold onto their strategic outpost in the Pacific. The Americans quickly established a foothold on the island, but they soon found themselves embroiled in a series of intense battles as they sought to expand their perimeter and secure key locations such as Henderson Field. One of the most significant challenges faced by the Americans was the harsh jungle environment, which made it difficult for them to maneuver and communicate. The dense foliage and steep terrain also provided perfect cover for Japanese snipers and patrols, who waged a relentless guerrilla war against the American forces. Despite these challenges, the Marines persevered, using their superior firepower and tactical training to slowly but surely push the Japanese back. As the battle raged on, the Americans began to receive reinforcements, including troops from the U.S. Army and Navy. The arrival of these fresh forces allowed the Americans to launch a series of bold attacks against key Japanese positions, including the heavily fortified hill known as Mount Austin Dink. The fighting was intense and brutal, with both sides suffering heavy casualties. But ultimately, the Americans emerged victorious, securing control of the strategic high ground. The Battle of Guadalcanal was not just a land-based conflict. It also involved a series of fierce naval battles, as American and Japanese warships clashed in the surrounding waters. The most notable of these engagements was the Battle of Savo Island, which took place on August 9, 1942. In this disastrous encounter, a Japanese fleet caught an Allied naval force off guard, sinking 4 American cruisers and killing over 1,000 sailors. The loss was a significant blow to American morale, but it did not deter them from their ultimate goal of securing Guadalcanal. As the months dragged on, the Japanese continued to throw troops and resources into the battle, but they were ultimately unable to stem the tide of the American advance. In October 1942, the Japanese launched a massive counterattack known as the Battle of Bloody Ridge, which was designed to retake Henderson Field and drive the Americans off the island. The fighting was fierce and intense, with both sides suffering heavy losses, but in the end, the Americans held firm, securing a crucial victory that would ultimately prove decisive. The turning point of the battle came in November 1942, when American forces launched a series of coordinated attacks against Japanese positions, including the key stronghold of Kokumbona. The fighting was brutal and relentless, with both sides suffering heavy casualties, but ultimately the Americans emerged victorious, securing control of the strategic village and paving the way for their eventual victory on Guadalcanal. As we conclude our exploration of the Battle of Guadalcanal, it is clear that this epic conflict marked a major turning point in the war against Japan. The American victory, which was secured at great cost in blood and treasure, provided a crucial stepping stone for the Allied advance into the Pacific, ultimately paving the way for the liberation of islands such as Tarawa, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa. The bravery and sacrifice of the American forces who fought on Guadalcanal will never be forgotten, and their legacy continues to inspire generations of soldiers, sailors, and Marines to this day. Join me next, dear listeners, as we explore the aftermath of the Battle of Guadalcanal and the ongoing struggle for dominance in the Pacific. Welcome back to History with Herodotus, as we continue our journey through the pivotal moments of World War II in the Pacific. The American victory on Guadalcanal, secured in February 1943, came at great cost. The U.S. military suffered over 7,000 casualties, including more than 1,600 killed in action. The Japanese, however, lost significantly more men, with estimates suggesting that between 14,000 to 19,000 soldiers died on the island. The brutal and bloody nature of the conflict left deep scars on both sides, but it also provided a crucial stepping stone for the Allied advance into the Pacific. As American forces consolidated their control over Guadalcanal, they began to look towards the next phase of their campaign, The Solomon Islands, a chain of islands stretching northwest from Guadalcanal, remained under Japanese occupation, and the Allies knew that they had to be secured in order to maintain momentum. In June 1943, American forces launched Operation Cartwheel, a comprehensive strategy aimed at isolating and capturing the key Japanese base at Rabaul, on the island of New Britain. The campaign in the Solomons was marked by intense fighting, as American and Japanese forces clashed on islands such as New Georgia, Columbangara, and Vella La Vella d'Orti. The U.S. military employed innovative tactics, including amphibious landings, air support, and naval gunfire, to overcome the heavily fortified Japanese positions. Despite facing significant challenges, including dense jungle terrain and determined enemy resistance, American forces slowly but surely pushed the Japanese back. One of the most significant consequences of the Battle of Guadalcanal was the shift in Japanese strategy. Recognizing that they could no longer hold on to their outlying possessions, the Japanese began to focus on defending their inner perimeter, which included key islands such as Truk in the Caroline Islands and Saipan in the Mariana Islands. This strategic withdrawal allowed the Allies to gain momentum, but it also meant that future battles would be even more intense and bloody. As we reflect on the aftermath of the Battle of Guadalcanal, it is clear that this epic conflict marked a major turning point in the war against Japan. The American victory provided a crucial stepping stone for the Allied advance into the Pacific, ultimately paving the way for the liberation of islands such as Tarawa, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa. The bravery and sacrifice of the American forces who fought on Guadalcanal will never be forgotten, and their legacy continues to inspire generations of soldiers, sailors, and Marines to this day. In the words of Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, the Japanese commander-in-chief, the fate of the war will be decided in the Solomons. The Battle of Guadalcanal was indeed a decisive moment in the Pacific War, one that marked the beginning of the end for Japan's ambitions in the region. As we conclude our exploration of this pivotal conflict, we are reminded of the enduring importance of courage, perseverance, and determination on the battlefield. Join me next time on History with Herodotus, as we explore other significant moments in world history. That's all for today's History with Herodotus. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, remember that to understand the present, we must first understand the past.